This issue will head to Patagonia, known as the end of the world. It is the most desolate area known to humanity and is located in South America. It is one of the least populated regions globally, with only 5 people per square kilometer. It is a land of pristine wilderness, home to numerous wild animals such as cougars and wild boars. On the first day, 10 contestants remain. As contestant number 1, Jim, makes his entrance, the show officially begins. Jim, 37, is lucky to find bamboo right after landing. Bamboo is excellent for building shelters and easy to use for starting fires. Jim is an outdoor survival instructor and has always dreamed of surviving in the wild. He plans to showcase all his skills here. After building a simple shelter, Jim starts a fire using fluffy bark scraped from dry tree bark. He successfully lights a fire, but after spending one night, the shelter seems inadequate. On the second day, he decides to build a Native American teepee to better prepare for the upcoming winter storms and ensure a comfortable stay outdoors. It's essential to have an elevated bed in the wild to retain body heat. On the third day, as it starts to rain, Jim, unable to work at the campsite, begins to think irrationally. Just 3 days in, he immensely misses his family, whether from hunger or a momentary lapse in judgment. Embarrassingly, he uses a satellite phone to quit the competition. Thousands covet this opportunity, but Jim withdraws just 3 days into the wilderness, wasting this rare chance. Contestant number 1, Jim, is eliminated. Contestant 2, Britt, 40, does not rush to build a shelter upon landing, but starts exploring the surrounding area to find the most suitable spot, which prevents the need to relocate later. Britt, an accountant, loves wilderness survival, a stark contrast to his profession. He is fully committed to this challenge, even though it's unrelated to his main job. While searching for a spot, Britt finds a cow skeleton, a testament to the cougar's ability to kill prey twice its size, including the largest local animals like moose and elk. Realizing the danger, Britt quickly moves away to avoid leaving his scent on this hunting path. He then finds fresh wild boar droppings. Adult wild boars in Patagonia can weigh up to 400 pounds, but they are not as dangerous as cougars. Britt set up traps near wild boar feces, hoping to catch one. If successful, he wouldn't have to worry about food for at least a month. As night fell, Britt heard noises that seemed to come from the direction of his traps. He decided to investigate, taking his machete with him. Knowing that not only he could hear the sounds, but possibly nearby pumas as well, he ensured to carry his weapon. However, his trap was not triggered, which alarmed him. It was risky to follow noises at night in the wilderness. Contestant 3, Kaoli, 27, a tough woman, started by stripping off her clothes for a swim, but the cold water quickly drove her ashore. She felt this helped her connect with the wilderness. She joined the competition with a clear aim to win the $500,000 prize to buy the house she lives in. Growing up in the countryside, Kaoli is skilled in crafts. After setting up a temporary shelter, she made a chair. She prefers to enjoy nature first before focusing on survival. Treating the competition like a leisurely trip might make her the champion. Even a simple chair feels different in the wilderness. Knowing she isn't a hunter and can't catch wild boar, she started fishing early. Despite using just one fishing line, she caught a rainbow trout by the second day. Not hungry yet, she decided to save the fish head and innards for future bait. While examining the innards, she found a complete snail, a beetle, and 2 twigs. She used the beetle as bait and returned to her hammock to think about how to cook the fish. But soon, her fishing line tugged again, a sign of another catch. Contestant 4, Fowler, 36, landed in a challenging terrain, mostly uphill. Rain would cause water to flow towards his camp, making it damp. He needed to find a better location to build his shelter. The area was steep, like climbing mid-mountain. Near the top, he discovered a hunting path and wild boar feces. Fowler's family practices frugality. They hand-pump their water and only use electricity at night. His wife encouraged him to persevere through hardships. Winning the competition could significantly improve his family's life. A large pile of bones was found at the top of the mountain, seemingly entering the territory of a mountain lion. As night fell, while setting up fishing lines, a mountain lion hunting nearby was spotted. Contestant 5, Dave, 49, started off by taking a swim. Swimming is his regular activity every Saturday, and he relishes the sensation of merging with nature in the water. Dave, with a strong desire for outdoor life, has survived in the wilderness for up to 44 days alone. He is an outdoor survival instructor with over 20 years of experience. In this competition, he aims to break his personal record of wilderness survival. In the morning, he brushed his teeth with charcoal, which has adsorption capabilities to remove some bacteria. Using a primitive lure he crafted, he caught a rainbow trout. Contestant 6, Zach, 22, known for his youthful energy and strong food cravings, constructed an M-shaped fishing trap. Once fish enter through the top V-shaped opening, it is difficult for them to escape. To prevent birds from stealing the fish, he covered the trap with branches. After setting the trap, Zach planned to explore around his shelter. Nearby, he found feces mixed with bones, likely from a mountain lion, which frightened him. He returned to his shelter to cut some bamboo to reinforce his makeshift shelter. While navigating the slippery, root-covered jungle floor, Zach fell, cutting his left hand with the axe he was holding. Despite his frustration and continuous bleeding, he reluctantly called for emergency help. The medical team informed him that the wound, worsened by embedded wood fragments, required surgery. Disappointed, Zach, hoping to make a mark at 22, had to withdraw from the competition. Contestant 2, Britt, had hastily built his shelter without considering rainy weather, which nearly collapsed under the weight of the accumulated rainwater. He realized the need for more practical experience, especially since he is an accountant by profession. Meanwhile, contestant 7, Megan, 41, recently got stuck in mud while exploring near a river. Megan is a biologist and also a forest ranger. His job has made him very independent. He has been working in forestry for nearly 20 years, in environments ranging from mountain peaks to swamps. His 2 decades of experience are the foundation of his confidence to compete in this contest. He possesses extensive knowledge of plants, knows which wild fruits are edible, and identifies toxic plants. Although in this season, his expertise allows him to easily gather wild fruits, protein is essential in the wild. Today, he plans to make a fishing trap. He will bend branches by the shore to create a trigger mechanism. Once a fish bites, the trap will be activated, and the springing branch will lift the fish out of the water. Contestant 8, Greg, 53, demonstrated a unique method of removing nose hair by inhaling sharply with a flame near his nostrils. Greg is a carpenter with 37 years of experience. Although 53 and divorced for 20 years, his daughter lives with him, contributing to their independence. Before he left, his daughter told him not to come back unless he wins, motivating him greatly to win the contest for unlimited financial security. While cooking his caught fish, noises near his shelter suggested a wild animal, likely attracted by the smell. However, for him, even a wild boar could be taken down with his bow and arrow. On day 9, 8 contestants remain. Contestant 3, Callie, starts her morning with fish soup. This lady, who made a strong impression by skinny dipping initially, plans to build a sturdy shelter today. In Patagonia, where fierce winds are common, a solid shelter is essential. She uses bamboo leaves and branches as the main materials for the 2 walls to effectively block the wind. While moving stones by the river, she notices snow accumulating on the mountain across, indicating the approach of winter. She needs to quickly build a fireplace in her shelter. Stones not only reflect, but also absorb and slowly release heat. In her hometown, wherever the fireplace is, that's where home is. After finishing her shelter, Callie enjoys her own dance performance, admiring the perfectly built fireplace, even making a clothes rack. Tonight, she will move into her new, warm little home. Contestant 2, Britt, caught a rainbow trout this morning. After processing the fish, its heart was still beating. He used the heart as bait, and the blood attracted more fish. He kept repeating the process, continuously catching fish, making him the envy of others. Indeed, the more remote the location, the richer the water resources. In less than half an hour, Britt caught 3 rainbow trout, and now needs to think of ways to preserve the food as meat spoils quickly in the wild. This puzzles me greatly. Why not dig a pit to channel water and keep the fish alive in it? Why must they be killed? If there's concern about birds eating the fish, covering it with branches would work. As night falls, the fish are frantically biting the hooks, non-stop. Britt still opts to process the fish and releases the processed fish back into the stream. I just don't understand why not keep them alive. Building a cage to trap the fish would preserve them longer. Contestant 7, Forest Ranger Megan, aged 41, found fresh wild boar feces 10 meters outside her shelter early in the morning. As a woman, she doesn't feel up to challenging a wild boar and decides to fortify her shelter for more reaction time. Contestant 9, Dan, 34, introduces himself as the laziest hunter, never moving unless necessary, always conserving his energy. His motto is to survive longer than anyone else, to the very end. As a professional hunter, he has more options for setting traps and gathering food. Today, he went to check his fishing line by the water, found a fish hooked but tangled with a stump underwater. To not waste hard-earned food, he decides to enter the water to retrieve the fish, quickly returning to shore to conserve heat, then cook and warm up back at his shelter. Content 4, Fowler, 36, lands in a steep and dangerous uphill terrain. Today, he plans to build a fence around his shelter to prevent slipping injuries, and also clears the ground leaves to reduce slipping during rain. To be wealthy, build roads first indeed proves wise. Contestant 10, Carleen, 28, has been building his shelter since landing. An architect by profession, he grew up fishing and learning survival skills. His shelter is filled with tree leaves and branches to prevent heat loss. However, the roof made of wet ground leaves, heavier than dry ones, fails and collapses. This represents Carleen's first mistake in the wilderness, requiring more physical effort to clear, adding to his challenge. On day 17, 8 contestants remain. Fowler, 36, brings a slingshot to the contest, hoping to catch small animals like birds and ducks, each providing about a pound of meat. Observing the water near his shelter, he notices many ducks, unreachable with a slingshot. He plans to build a duck trap today. Fowler is a shipbuilder skilled in handicrafts. He uses rubber bands for his launcher, builds a dock for his small boat, and pushes the trap into deep water. The boat's stern is rigged with fishing line for easy retrieval. On the boat, there are 2 stones tied with bait. Once a duck takes the bait, it drags the tied stones into the water, drowning the duck. Retrieving the fishing line then yields a wild drowned duck. That's the principle behind it, and Fowler hopes to demonstrate how effective this trap can be. However, in the afternoon, when he checks the shore, it's a rainbow trout, not a duck, triggered by the boat. This area's trout are desperately hungry. Trout head is also on his menu, so he sends the trap back into deep water. Contestant 5, Dave, 49, wakes up and eats his stored breakfast along with a fish. He spends the morning finishing the main gate of his perfect shelter, made of bamboo. Dave is very satisfied with his creation. Contestant 7, Megan, a 41-year-old biologist and forest ranger, shaves her legs today. It's worth mentioning that her expertise has kept her alive for 17 days. She won't give up and goes to check her fishing line. At the shore, the line tightens to her hook, indicating a fish bite. The line, however, is tangled around a stump underwater. Megan goes into the water to retrieve the hard-earned fish meat, but loses the fish due to inexperience and ends up completely wet. She spends the evening by the fire, struggling to warm up. As a female contestant, it feels particularly tough. After half a month without meat and the fish escaping while retrieving it underwater, it seems almost like fate when her trap catches a fresh fish the next day, which contains more protein than chicken. Megan finally enjoys her first meat meal in the competition. Contestant 8, Greg, 53, checks his wild boar trap today. The trap was triggered and the bait is gone, but no prey was captured. Reviewing the camera footage, he discovers a fox stole the bait at night, which infuriates him. He sets a new trap near the original, creating a path lined with branches leading to the bait placed at the end. Once an animal approaches to eat the bait, the thick stick set as a trap will fall. At night, the fox returns, but being extremely cautious, it steals the bait from the outside. Foxes are indeed clever. Contestant 2, Britt, aged 40, created a urinal inside his shelter to avoid going out at night. The biting cold during the seasons indeed makes one reluctant to venture outside. Possibly due to the recent drop in temperature, Britt hasn't caught any fish in a week. This morning, he will search the jungle for food and manages to find beefsteak mushrooms, his only decent food this week. By day 34, he still hasn't caught any fish, as if the previously abundant fish had vanished overnight. Today, he checks his traps laid along a rabbit path. To his surprise, the trap was triggered, but the rabbit had bitten through the fishing line and escaped. It seemed to mock him, suggesting all his efforts were in vain. Britt hadn't anticipated that rabbits could bite through the line, leaving him frustrated. Hungry and having wasted much energy on setting traps to no avail, he begins to question his suitability for the contest as an accountant. Hunger changes one's mindset, making one suspicious, irritable, and anxious. He misses home deeply and no longer wants to crawl into his dirty sleeping bag. He longs for home and a hearty dinner. Unable to endure the hunger, Britt decides to withdraw from the competition. Patagonia, for him, was a beautiful prison without a stable food supply. Contestant 2, the accountant Britt, is eliminated. In the wilderness, can you create your own paradise and face the challenges head-on? By day 35, only 7 contestants remain. Contestant 4, Fowler, enjoys the fish soup caught from his boat last night. He notices the snow slowly creeping down the opposite mountain and hurries to finish building his cabin to prepare for winter. His cabin, a week's masterpiece, is still half finished, with bamboo used on the exterior for better wind protection. While collecting bamboo, Fowler finds fresh wild boar tracks. He plans to set several traps, knowing that catching a wild boar would make his wilderness journey easier to win. The first trap, a primitive pitfall with spikes at the bottom filled with sharpened bamboo, is covered with branches and loose soil on top. He strategically places it on a path with a tricky visual layout, using sharpened bamboo sticks below and wrapped with rubber bands for a quick and forceful strike. Fish guts are placed underneath as bait. When the bait is pulled, the bamboo will spring up, aiming for the boar's head. The surrounding bamboo circle ensures the boar can only approach from one direction, increasing the trap's chance of success. After setting the trap, Fowler returns to building his cabin, exhausting most of his energy. Contestant 8, Greg, after a battle of wits with a fox on the mountain, came up short. He needed to find easier-to-obtain food. Greg set his sights on the river's mouth across the shore. He needed to build a boat to get there and try his luck at fishing. He found some wood on shore and constructed a simple raft. Although rudimentary, it successfully got him across. He began fishing and luckily caught a rainbow trout, justifying the energy spent on building the raft. Contestant 10, Carline, has completed her wooden cabin. Today, to prepare for the approaching winter, she began collecting dry wood. In the evening, near her shelter, either a mountain lion or a fox was closely watching her. Fortunately, it left after a short while. Contestant 5, Dave, woke up feeling depressed this morning. He was emaciated, having not caught any fish for a long time. As a 20-year outdoor instructor, he knew that the onset of ice meant fish would move to deeper waters, decreasing his chances of catching any. The hardest part was the lack of wildlife signs around his shelter, except for rats. In Patagonia, rats can carry the hantavirus, a respiratory disease with a 40% mortality rate. The production team had warned contestants not to eat rodents. This made gathering food even more challenging. Today, Dave decided to abandon his previous bait and made a fly fishing hook. After an afternoon of casting and retrieving, he finally caught a fish. He swallowed the roe directly, not wasting the hard-earned protein. Contestant 9, Dan, our dog brother Hunter, has been conserving energy lately by rarely leaving his shelter, doing nothing but fishing and sleeping. He believes he can last until the end. Contestant 3, Kaylee, planned to build a sweat lodge today. In his philosophy, it's crucial to do things that make one happy in the wilderness to avoid excessive emotional distress from missing family. He laid soft moss outside the sweat lodge. At night, he moved heated stones inside and began to enjoy the steaming. In the morning, refreshed, he jokingly made a satellite phone call, a tight moment for viewers, but clearly he was not easily defeated. Day 45.7 contestants remaining. Contestant 3, Kaylee, started the day by washing his socks and boiling them to disinfect after being bitten by a spider last night. Unsure if it was poisonous, he searched for herbs and found plantain and pine cones. He crushed these and applied the paste to the wound as an antibacterial salve to prevent further infection. In the wilderness, Callie relies on himself. The next day, his wound was still swollen, but he remained optimistic and didn't feel poisoned. Today he decided to make a musical instrument, recalling Lucas from Season 1, who had crafted a small guitar but left the show shortly after completing it. By nightfall, Kaylee felt dizzy and nauseous as the spider's toxin seemed to spread. He chose to trust his body to fight it, staying awake all night, embracing nature, and hoping for recovery. Contestant 5, Dave, has been successful with the fly fishing hook he made and continues to catch rainbow trout, although unfortunately only male fish without roe. He doesn't waste the milt, known as shirako in Japan, a delicacy. With winter approaching and fish moving to deeper waters, he plans to build a fish drying rack and smoke the fish to prevent hunger in the coming months. Smoked fish can last up to 2 months. Contestant 8, Greg, spends a lot of energy collecting dry wood daily due to his shelter being near the water. He would have moved to a more wood-abundant area if not for the convenience of fishing. Today, while checking his net, he found a fish caught by its tail. Attempting to retrieve it, Greg slipped into the water, wetting his clothes. With winter approaching, he needs to warm up quickly and has decided to move to a better location for wood gathering. Realizing that fire is his salvation in the wilderness, he collects charcoal and moves to a new shelter where wood is plentiful. Contestant 9, Dan, calculates his calorie consumption daily, maintaining a routine of sleeping and fishing, which gives him too much idle time to miss his family. Without other plans, he struggles with the emotional conflict of activity versus energy conservation, finding it torturous as inactivity makes him homesick, but physical activity drains his strength. Finally, after several days, his rescue team arrived. With tears in his eyes, he could no longer contain his longing for his family. He was ready to leave this dreadful place and go home, as he felt unsatisfied in the wilderness. Contestant 9, Dan's journey has come to an end. Contestant 10, Carlene, tried fishing all day with a rod she made herself. She caught her first fish just as night was approaching, which brought her to tears. She wants to win the competition and be the first female winner on the show, aiming to be a role model for others. On day 51, contestant 8, Greg, fell into the water the previous day. Even after moving to a new shelter with plenty of firewood, his body temperature did not recover, and he spent a sleepless night in wet clothes, experiencing nausea, dizziness, and even hallucinations. Greg developed hypothermia, and despite spending the entire night by the fire, his wet clothes did not dry. Afraid that removing his clothes would cause his body temperature to drop faster, he reluctantly called for rescue. Regretting not taking off his wet clothes earlier, he was disappointed in himself, but knew life was the most precious thing. Sadly, Greg withdrew from the competition. Now, there are 5 contestants left. Contestant 3, Kaylee, discovered a Chilean recluse spider near the camp, suspecting it was the source of his painful bite. This venomous spider not only leaves deep scars that are hard to heal, but Kaylee is dismayed as his physical condition gradually worsens, despite applying herbal remedies nightly. The infection persists. Contestant 4, Fowler, completed his shelter made primarily of bamboo, a material originally used in Chinese architecture. Today, he also constructed a bamboo bird trap in the shape of a pyramid, with bait tied at the top. Upon a bird touching the bait, the pyramid would collapse, trapping it. After returning to his shelter, Fowler made a 9-tooth rake to clear away dead leaves and prevent poisonous insects from reaching his bird trap. When he returned, the trap had been triggered, capturing a bird. After quickly killing the bird and plucking its feathers, Fowler prepared to make soup. Though the meat was scant, the broth was delicious and memorable. Contestant 7, Megan, 41, notices a fox wandering outside her shelter at night. As a forestry biologist, she is aware that food sources are dwindling due to the winter. Previously, she would never consider eating a carnivorous animal, but now, driven by hunger, she not only wants to eat the fox, but also skin it. Megan sets several traps, but the fox merely circles her shelter at night without approaching the traps. This worries Megan about potential bites, as foxes are common carriers of rabies, and those infected can be highly aggressive. On day 59, 5 contestants remain. Contestant 3, Callie, shows incredible resilience as her venomous spider bite from day 45 begins to heal after a fortnight of suffering. Despite the severe pain and the threat of 3 puncture wounds on her leg, she never considered quitting. Her improving condition further motivates her. Contestant 10, Carlene, spots a deer outside her shelter in the morning, but fails to seize the opportunity. The heavy snow raises questions of beauty versus desolation. By day 72, 5 contestants are still in the running. Contestant 4, Fowler, wakes to find snow outside his shelter and builds a snowman to mark the first snowfall. As the snow clears by afternoon, he prepares for winter by gathering more wood. Despite surviving over 2 months in the wild, He remains determined to win the prize money to improve his family's life. Contestant 5, Dave, also experiences the snow and shouts joyously, finding delight in the wintry scene. However, after 72 days, having lost 40 pounds, Dave craves fatty meats. His physical strength has waned to the point where he can no longer draw his traditional bow, which requires 60 pounds of force. Regretting not planning his diet better when he could still catch fish, Dave feels despondent. Unable to work and with winter making food scarce, his situation is dire. Contestant 7, Megan, finds fishing challenging due to the fish migrating to deeper waters with the onset of winter. Her fishing gear is less effective now. Since catching fish became difficult, she shifted her focus to catching birds. She crafted a bird trap using a small reed frame with berries as bait. As a biologist, her expertise is a significant advantage, proven by her consistent gathering of berries and wild vegetables since the start. Contestant 3, Callie, is overjoyed by today's heavy snow, feeling as if she's in a fairy tale and likening herself to a snow sprite. Known as the Lady of Luck, she is the only one who still catches fish by the shore in winter. At night, unable to contain her joy, Kaylee sings aloud. Each remaining contestant is striving for their dreams. After enduring an injury, Kaylee feels as if she has unblocked her energy channels. By morning, she announces her decision to withdraw from the competition. For Kaylee, this journey was initially about winning to buy land and build a house for herself. However, after recovering from her injury, she realized she was too focused on material goals, neglecting other aspects of life. She wants to break free from seeing herself merely as a money-making machine and live a life true to herself. This wilderness journey has been transformative, opening new doors for her future. On day 73, with Kaylee's exit, only 4 contestants remain. Contestant 4, Fowler, plans to go down to his former shelter by the foothill to fish before the water freezes, hoping to stock up on food. Today, Megan goes to the shore where her air trap, surprisingly, catches a fish. After handling a redfish, another fish bites almost immediately. It seems luck is on her side as she catches her 3rd fish of the day by the afternoon, marking a significant change since she hadn't caught any fish for a whole month. Today, the production crew will conduct a medical checkup. Megan, who has lost 20 pounds since arriving on the island, which is about 18 kilograms over 2.5 months, doesn't seem too troubled by it. As a biologist, she has had a steady supply of berries and wild vegetables. Despite her weight loss, Megan is happy and feels well enough to continue competing. To celebrate passing the medical checkup, she makes herself a hammock and enjoys gathering edible fungi and berries before sunset. Contestant 5, Dave, appears gaunt, with just skin and bones, and is in a low spirit. Weak and unable to engage in strenuous activity, he attempted fishing by the water today but had no luck due to the winter. After slipping and falling while preparing to return to his shelter, he realizes his physical condition is deteriorating. The smoked fish he had stored for emergencies now needs to be consumed more due to his condition. The afternoon's medical checkup alarmed the crew as Dave had lost 42 pounds, about 38 kilograms over the months, nearly 1/3 of his original weight. His blood pressure is below normal, and when informed that he needed to be evacuated for health reasons, Dave was devastated. Despite his careful planning and ample food supply, including 32 pieces of smoked fish, the crew explained that he was at risk of organ failure and could not be guaranteed safety if an incident occurred. His condition required more than just smoked fish, needing substantial carbohydrates and vitamins for recovery. Dave became the only contestant eliminated despite having plenty of food because he rationed too much, fearing difficulty in fishing during winter. Disheartened, he regretted hoarding food, unsure of how to explain to his family the reason behind his elimination. However, his determination and planning are commendable traits. Contestant number 10, Carlene, plans to make a wooden drum today. She found animal hide on the 2nd day of the competition, and with nothing else pressing today and to distract herself from missing her family, she finished constructing her first musical instrument in the wilderness by evening. Today marks day 76, with only 3 contestants remaining. Contestant number 4, Fowler, has not caught any fish in recent days as the water levels have risen since his last successful fishing. Hunger forces him to dig for roots near his shelter, a relentless challenge both mentally and physically. Despite the hardship, Fowler is determined to win the competition for his wife and children to improve their lives. By day 78, 3 contestants are left. The production crew's boat heads towards the Patagonian competition area, indicating another contestant has opted out. The camera shifts to contestant number 7, Megan, who feels she has pushed herself to her limits. Realizing she can no longer continue, she desires to return to her family. Although not winning the $500,000 prize, she believes her family will be proud of her efforts and is not disheartened by her decision to leave. Megan's journey ends on day 78. By day 86, only 2 remain. Fowler, nearly 3 months away from home, feels his body weakening daily. Despite setting fishing traps and using his boat, catching fish in the deep waters of winter relies purely on luck. As the competition nears its end, medical checks become more frequent. Fowler has lost 64 kilograms, but still weighs around 150 kilograms, showing the extreme preparations contestants make to endure the wilderness. Contestant number 10, Carlene, now as thin as lightning, fantasizes about high-fat foods every night, finding herself half-satiated just by swallowing her saliva. Today, the production team conducted a medical checkup focused primarily on vital organs to assess the contestants' health and determine if they can continue in the competition. Carlene now weighs 46 kilograms, having lost 20.5 kilograms since arriving in Patagonia. This weight loss has brought her to a critical point. As a woman, her baseline weight was already much lower than her male counterparts. After discussions, the team decided to remove Carlene from the competition as her body mass index, BMI, is now below average. Continuing could likely lead to permanent damage to her digestive and nervous systems. She is aware of her body's fragility, but this outcome is not what she desired. She has endured much for the chance to win the prize money to buy land for her family and secure a carefree future for her children. All these dreams are now gone. By day 87, only 1 contestant remains, contestant number 4, Fowler. His hardships are unknown to us, but losing 64 kilograms in 3 months is not something many can achieve. As the production team arrives again, Fowler begins to worry that his stats may be below average and that they might take him away. Now resembling a frail old man, he repeatedly insists that he can keep going and that he is physically fine. In a vulnerable moment, as the camera rolls, his wife appears behind him and informs Fowler that he has won. He is the last contestant standing. This episode brings us back to a familiar place, Vancouver Island, one of the densest black bear regions. Here, the humidity remains at 100% throughout the year. Now in pairs, participants face the wilderness challenge. On the first day, 7 teams are left. Dave, from the first team, has just landed and starts to find his way. His wife, Brooke, accompanies him. Their tasks are well defined. Brooke builds the shelter on site while Dave searches for resources. Contestants can only use compasses to determine direction. The American participants land about 16 kilometers apart. Dave and his wife Brooke, married for 18 years with 2 children, believe they have a significant advantage in this competition. This stems from their 8 years of marital understanding and a life far from modern civilization. For them, competing with someone who holds different ideals would be an unbearable challenge. Only with the right partner can they cooperate closely and give their all. From Brooke's perspective, she landed on a wide coast, often abundant with resources. Not far from her landing spot, she discovered a stream with fresh water and some chanterelles nearby, securing food and water upon arrival. After collecting some pine branches for kindling in the woods, she decided to explore the coast for resources. However, upon reaching the coast, Brooke encountered a wolf. This pack animal was likely the scout of its group. Both were initially confused, but the wolf, accustomed to dominating Vancouver Island, was not particularly afraid of humans. It continued to approach Brooke until she made a noise, and it prudently backed away. On Vancouver Island's wilderness, the animals teach you that you are no longer at the top of the food chain. Here, not only wolves, but also about 7,000 black bears and nearly 1,000 cougars could threaten your life. As a female contestant, Brooke didn't dare to be too conspicuous while waiting for her husband. She returned to the woods to start building the shelter, knowing she was alone and couldn't rush the job. A secure campsite was her top priority. It must be said, Brooke's hands-on skills are impressive. By the afternoon, she had completed a sturdy shelter. Brad landed in a forest, a challenging location. The dense jungle would significantly slow him down, taking a lot of time to navigate and being home to many wild animals. Brad's brother joined him in the competition. They have an exceptional bond and often set up camps outdoors together, honing their skills. Brad, at 23, is in his prime, strong physically. If they can manage the psychological pressure, they could be strong contenders. His brother landed on a beach, confident in his ability to build a sturdy shelter and wait for Brad. However, after exploring for 3 hours, he couldn't find a suitable spot. The lack of flat ground in the primitive forest was frightening, and he got lost. In his panic, he fell and twisted his ankle between 2 tree roots. Desperate and disoriented, he eventually reached the beach and hastily called for help. Scared, he chose to quit the competition after just 3 hours. In this season's pairs format, one participant's withdrawal forces their partner to leave as well. Brad, who had just erected a temporary shelter due to rain, was startled by the sound of a helicopter. The production team found him using his satellite location. Learning of his brother's exit due to injury, he was silent at first, but relieved that it was not a more serious issue. The brothers were the youngest team and had to leave the competition early. The third team member, Alex, embarked on a long trek after landing to find his son. His landing spot was a swampy area, heavy with moisture and danger. He soon found fresh bear droppings, prompting him to leave the area quickly. Competing with his 19-year-old son, Alex believed his son's clear thinking was crucial for survival. As a retired veteran, Alex felt confident in taking care of their survival, while his son would contribute many useful ideas for living in the wild. The camera switches to his son, Logan, who is 19 years old. He landed in a dense jungle, struggling to build a shelter due to the steep slopes and unsuitable terrain. As it began to rain, he had no choice but to set up a tarp to protect his clothes and equipment. The fourth team member, Jesse, landed and discovered a large amount of turkey tail mushrooms, known for their medicinal properties that can boost immunity. Planning to collect them for brewing tea later, Jesse, who served 10 years in the military and has a strong sense of direction, took on the role of finding his partner, his brother. To reunite with his brother sooner, Jesse crossed through bushes to a path created by black bears, which made him nervous as black bears are more likely to attack when startled or feeling their territory is invaded. On the second day, 6 teams remained. Ted, from the 5th team, reached a beach at low tide on his second day and pried up a hat clam, a common type of shellfish found at low tide that provides some calories. His brother Jim was responsible for finding him. As the younger brother, Ted needed to build a sturdy shelter. Both brothers work at a map publishing company and are professional adventurers, often surveying uninhabited areas. This has honed their strong survival skills, resilience, and endurance. For them, this competition is more like a long business trip or an adventure game, showcasing their survival skills. Ted, who is 1.9 meters tall, requires more food than average, and his brother Jim, at 2 meters tall, needs even more. Both are robust and need a lot of food just to maintain bodily functions. Ted's first step is to find as much food as possible during this low tide and set up the fishing nets he brought. The camera then shifts to Jim, whose 2-meter stature makes navigating the jungle challenging. Just then, as the rain started, and Alex, a member of the 3rd team, had to stop due to the swampy landing area, he worried about his son Logan. He was just thinking of him when he heard a helicopter overhead. The show's crew informed him that there had been an incident with Logan and he needed to go to him. Alex hoped it wasn't a wild animal attack. Fortunately, upon landing, he saw Logan safe and sound, bringing a smile to Alex's face. Despite Logan explaining how he had to quit the competition, Alex seemed not to hear it. It was simply too much for Logan to handle the unknown fears of the wilderness. Alex kept his eyes on his son, relieved that he was unharmed. He reassured him that giving up didn't mean losing, especially before one's mind is fully mature. Even though their withdrawal forced Alex out of the race too, he was still proud of his son for having the courage to step into the competition. After all, at 19, Logan will grow into a strong man. Regrettably, the father-son duo had to leave the competition on the 3rd day, leaving 5 teams remaining. Brooke from the 1st team focused on keeping a fire going today. Given that it rains for over half the year on Vancouver Island, with constant humidity, fire is essential for survival, for cooking, drying clothes, and more. Brooke dug a pit at the campsite's opening, lined it with mud, sand, and stones, and surrounded it with sticks covered with branches to shield from rain. It's worth noting that the main entrance of the shelter is on the left, not at this opening. Returning to the shelter, It took less than 10 minutes for the fire to start, showing the benefits of dry kindling collected over the previous days. Buddy, from Team 6, navigated through dense bushes, stepping over wild grass and vines, where soil wasn't even visible. Growing up in the countryside with his brother, the two had plenty of outdoor experience, often taking their family camping and hunting. Buddy emerged from the bushes, frustrated to find his compass pointing towards a nearby mountain. Could his brother Chris still be on the other side? To reach him, Buddy would have to cross a dense mountain forest, a nearly lethal task. To help Buddy spot him, Chris had hung several torn plastic bottles on trees, hoping their bright colors would catch his brother's eye, unaware of the mountain between them. Team member Shannon from the 4th team chewed on seaweed for breakfast by the coast this morning. He was waiting for his brother Jesse to arrive. Both brothers have their own jobs. Shannon is a fisherman and hunter, while Jesse served in the military for 10 years. They are both adventurers. This morning, Shannon was on the beach looking for wood to build a shelter and found a leaky box. Meanwhile, Jesse had been following a black bear's hunting trail for the past few days and finally reached the coast today, where he could rest. Before resting, Jesse climbed to a high point and repeatedly shouted his brother's name. After getting no response, he gave up. But nearby, Shannon heard the distant shouts. Although unclear and indistinguishable whether it was a human voice, he responded, only to have his echo drowned out by the waves. Today, Shannon planned to turn the found wood into a crab trap, but walking back and forth on the slippery beach was risky. Shannon fell. Team 5 member Ted found no catch in his fishing net this morning. He decided to go fishing and waited for the second high tide, but caught nothing all afternoon. When the tide went out, he planned to return home, but was stunned to find his net full of fish. 5 fish, which greatly boosted his confidence. His brother Jim, however, was not as fortunate. In search of his brother following the compass direction, he had been crawling for 4 days and was very hungry. He resorted to eating banana slugs, the world's second largest slug species, which he boiled at high temperatures. The taste was unpleasant. Jim described it as chewing actual mucus, just a hardened version. By the 5th day, 5 teams remained. Shannon from the 4th team fell on the coast. The wet shore was covered with dead wood and rocks, and he injured himself, feeling intense pain in his lower back and right leg, possibly indicating a compression fracture. Shannon tried to stand but lost feeling in his foot. He didn't want to give up, but his body trembled uncontrollably. A compression fracture occurs when force is applied downward suddenly, causing the bone to misalign before settling. Such injuries are typically caused by falls and can lead to spinal deformities if not treated promptly. After several attempts to move his foot failed, Shannon reluctantly called for help. The rescue team brought a stretcher and confirmed the need for immediate treatment for his spinal injury. Though reluctant, his injury meant Jesse would be forced to withdraw, which deeply saddened him. At that moment, he felt terrible. Over at Jesse's location on the beach, he was preparing to rest but could not start a fire due to the excessive moisture. In the blink of an eye, he spotted the helicopter. His first thought was hoping Shannon was safe. When the production team informed him that his brother had hurt his lower back and was sent to the hospital, he panicked. He didn't care about the competition. He just wanted his brother to be safe. The team also told him that they were only 800 meters apart. Unfortunately, one was injured. Jesse felt guilty, thinking if only he had moved faster these past few days, he might have reached his brother sooner and prevented the injury. The brothers from Team 4 ended their journey in disappointment on the 5th afternoon, leaving 4 teams remaining. Brooke from Team 1, now with a fire, planned to gather enough dry wood today. She had a sturdy shelter and a warm fire, only missing her husband Dave, to air out the sleeping bag and soak up some vitamin D from the sun. But shortly after lying down, Brooke spotted a wolf for the second time. She hurriedly dressed, realizing she had been too relaxed and hoping for Dave's early arrival. Meanwhile, Dave found an open area on his 5th day of searching for his wife. Just as he was settling down, the sound of a breaking branch startled him. Fortunately, it was a false alarm. Team 7's Peter finally made an appearance. 3 teams had been eliminated before his entry, showcasing the dangers of the wild. 2 teams were out due to injuries, and 1 because of the psychological impact on younger participants. But Peter, at 61, was still competing, showing his exceptional physical condition. He waited for his son, Sam, who was an expert in botany. As a seasoned fisherman, fishing was Peter's forte. By the water, he casually made a fishing rod, quickly catching a fish as if the water side was his dining table. Turning to his son Sam, he confidently said his father was stronger than anyone and was surely comfortable now. All he needed was for his physically adept son to hurry to his side to start showcasing their skills together. However, as Sam traveled through the jungle, facing his first challenge, his compass pointed across a large lake that seemed shoreless. He didn't want to risk hypothermia by entering the water, potentially costing him his life. Ultimately, he chose to head upstream where the water normally narrows, unlike downstream where it widens. After eating grilled fish with his father, Peter, he wandered outside the shelter and discovered an area of grass flattened by a black bear and fresh bear feces. Every few steps, he found more droppings indicating frequent bear visits. Broody, from Team 6, recently spotted salmon swimming in shallow waters. He caught one, planning his first full meal in 5 days. However, survival on Vancouver Island proved tough. From evening to night, he couldn't start a fire as everything was soaked. Overwhelmed by hunger, Broody chose to eat the fish raw, although he usually dislikes sashimi. Eating raw posed risks of diarrhea, nausea, abdominal pain, and even parasites. Broody's brother Chris seemed to sense his needs, deciding today to make a drying rack for storing firewood, as if knowing his brother's desperate need for dry wood. During low tide, Broody crossed the water and finally climbed over the mountain. Believing he was close to his brother, he moved forward, shouting as he went. Soon, he heard a response, which thrilled him. After 5 tough days, eating raw meat was a highlight. Following each other's voices, the brothers eventually reunited on the beach, becoming the first team this season to meet up. This gave them an edge over solo players in the wilderness, reducing psychological stress and increasing their combined strength. On the 8th day, 4 teams remained. Brooke from Team 1 woke up at night to find a large spider in his sleeping bag, fortunately unharmed, unlike last season's Corey, who suffered for a week from a spider bite. After a session with a wooden stick massage, Brooke fell asleep again. In the morning, he decided to improve his shelter by building a raised bed on a slope to avoid most poisonous insects and damp ground. He inserted stakes at the bottom of the slope, used sticks for the middle partition, laid soft branches on top, and covered it with a waterproof cloth, creating a raised, flat bed. After 8 days of trekking, Dave finally reached the seaside directed by his compass, approximately 1 kilometer away from his wife's location. After completing a small bed, Brooke arrived at the coast and found plenty of lines, enough to weave a fishing net, which was a huge gain. While Brooke was gathering fishing lines on the grass, Dave's shouts could be heard from not far away. Excited, Brooke had endured a week and finally saw her husband on the 8th day. A brief hug calmed their uneasy feelings over the past few days, and they became the second team to meet up. Even though Dave knew his wife was amazing, he was still surprised by the perfect shelter she had built alone, and he couldn't help but praise her handy skills. Meanwhile, Jim of Team 5 was fantasizing about his brother catching a deer and waiting for his arrival to feast. While he was lost in his thoughts, he spotted a ptarmigan. Backed against a wall, Jim approached the corner where the bird was, took his shot, but missed slightly, and ended up breaking the production team's action camera, losing more than he gained. His brother Ted wasn't worried about any difficulties Jim might face. Instead, he was explaining what to use as toilet paper in the wild, recommending moss for its excellent texture, even preferring it over toilet paper. After Jim had previously caught 5 fish with a net, now the net was empty. Together, the 2 tall brothers, weighing a total of 451 pounds, needed to consume 5,200 calories daily to maintain their weight. But Jim was having a harder time with several days of fasting and strenuous daily treks. Today, he chose a shelter site casually, even next to cougar feces, recklessly picking the spot in cougar territory, until he realized at night. Upon spotting the cougar, Jim chased after it without hesitation, shouting for it not to run, as he was considering adding the cougar to his menu. True to his 2-meter height and 210-pound frame, desperately hungry and willing to try anything, Ted started building a small boat as the net had not yielded any fish recently, guessing the fish may have moved to deeper waters. This made one worry as the 2 brothers, with no stable way to obtain food and fast consumption rates, might face hunger together when they meet. Team 7 member Sam was baffled when he suddenly realized his axe was missing. He had no idea when or where he lost it. In the wilderness, An axe is a vital tool for chopping wood, hunting, and defending against wild animals. Sam dreaded the thought of meeting his father and telling him about the lost axe. This led him to consider quitting, but he knew his father, a determined man participating in the competition at 61, would not take quitting lightly. Knowing he couldn't disappoint his father, Sam exited the jungle and approached the seaside. His compass pointed to this location near the sea where his father was close by. After calling out, they reunited. Peter hugged his son, proud that Sam, concerned about his father's stamina, managed to navigate the jungle for 8 days to find him. On day 10, with only 4 teams left, Brooke from Team 1 discovered a duck on the beach. She approached it and realized it had an injured wing after stepping on its head to examine it. Excited about the unexpected delicacy of duck in the wild, she waited for Dave to wake up, and the couple enjoyed charcoal-grilled sea duck for breakfast. After eating, they divided tasks. Dave made fishing gear and traps, while Brooke went fishing. Dave took on all the heavy work since meeting up with his wife, who organized their cozy shelter efficiently. Soon, Brooke caught a fish, prompting Dave to join her fishing. Working together, they weren't tired and returned to the shelter with 2 fish, preparing for dinner with ample firewood and each other's company, enjoying the happiness of being together. Breakfast was duck, and dinner was grilled fish, a luxury unexpected in the wilderness. Jim from Team 5 and his brother are the only duo yet to reunite. The daily trekking exhausted Jim's physical strength, and by day 10, kudzu had become a staple in his diet. Meanwhile, Ted started building a shelter for 2, thinking it unnecessary to build one earlier since his brother was still on the move. By day 10, counting the days, Ted anticipated Jim's arrival nearby. However, navigating the jungle was exceptionally challenging for Jim, who is over 2 meters tall. Food is unstable. Nitrogen water is unstable. He consumes much more energy than ordinary people. Although the two are not far apart in location, the dense jungle still hinders the older brother's progress. In the afternoon, while making a small boat, Ted heard his brother's call. However, Ted was slightly worried because he knew his brother urgently needed food, and he had no food supplies. But the brothers' reunion would break this deadlock. They planned to work together to create their own paradise. Tonight, to secure more food sources, they would build their own crab trap. In the morning, they displayed the newly built trap, which has an entrance in the middle. Once a crab enters, it is difficult for it to escape through the protruding entrance. A rope on top is used for later retrieval, and an attractant bag is at the bottom of the trap. To approach the bait, crabs must enter the trap. The brothers found some shellfish on the beach to use as bait. They secured the trap before high tide and waited to collect it at low tide. Time quietly passed, and they found the trap empty, greatly demoralizing them. Team 7's Sam kindled a fire this morning. Upon entering the camp, he realized his father had found a good spot. Loving fishing and with his father being an old fisherman, their shelter was not far from the water. This morning, Sam was eager to set traps by the water. He tied a stone to the end of the fishing line to sink it, bound 2 hooks in the middle, and baited the hooks. All he needed to do was throw the stone into the water, hoping for a good catch. In the wilderness, whether there is a stable food source will determine if you stay or go home. Today, his father Peter started fishing and couldn't stop, catching 3 fish, which delighted Sam. If they could catch like this every day, the championship would surely be theirs. After lunch, the father and son decided to cover the back of the shelter with walls to shield against wind and rain. Working together indeed doubled their efficiency. In just an hour, a windbreak wall was completed, looking very refined. Team 6's Chris and Broody, having been the first to find each other, also became a stable food source today, creating more fishing tools. Today, they tried long pole fishing, but the fishing spot they chose was not ideal, and their hooks were snagging on rocks. Continuing this way, they would run out of hooks. Day 13. 4 teams remain. Team 7 Sam and his father Peter are facing a torrential downpour. Their shelter is very safe and does not leak, allowing them to go fishing today. The father and son have daily tasks, with collecting food being their top priority. Despite the storm, Peter catches fish again, maintaining his consistent success. After catching 2 fish, they return to their camp. Team 6. Chris and Broody, 2 brothers, are experiencing extreme storm conditions. Their shelter is leaking, and they must act quickly to prevent their sleeping bags from being ruined, which would render them unusable for a long time. They consider relocating their shelter to a drier area, as their current low-lying location is unsuitable for long-term use. As soon as the rain stops, the brothers eagerly search for a new shelter site. However, finding a dry spot after the storm proves nearly impossible. They could move deeper into the jungle or up the hills near large trees, but both options are far from the sea, complicating food acquisition. Back at camp, the brothers disagree. Chris, the older brother, suggests to Broody that they withdraw from the competition. Indeed, as the one who stayed behind, Chris is the first to propose leaving. Broody had made a considerable effort to find him, and now, after just one storm, Chris wants to quit. Since this season's competition is a team event, one member's withdrawal would force the other to leave as well. Broody does not want to give up halfway, but Chris insists on quitting, and Broody cannot force him to stay and suffer. Despite Broody's attempts to persuade him, Chris remains unmoved. Facing the show's producers, Chris appears righteous, as if giving up costs him nothing. Broody, typically very competitive and not one to flee from challenges, does not want their relationship to sour, even though he strongly wishes to continue. He hopes this competition will not affect their relationship in everyday life. The sixth team, the brothers, exit the competition with unresolved differences. Day 15, 3 teams remain. Team 5. Ted, he just vomited. Today, he has been vomiting and has diarrhea. This is due to eating large amounts of seaweed. Seaweed contains high levels of iodine, which can cause abdominal bloating, pain, and nausea. If they don't return to a normal diet soon, his body will struggle to continue in the competition. As the older brother, Jim wants to protect his younger brother. Even though it's raining, he goes to the water's edge to fish. There are no medicines in the wild. To heal Ted, meat is the best remedy. After changing fishing spots several times, he finally catches several fish near some rocks. It's as if heaven senses his urgent need for food. He catches a total of 11 fish. Today is truly a bountiful day. Back at camp, the two brothers discuss how many fish to cook today. As if the food wasn't enough, a duck walks straight towards the fire. With a swift pounce, Jim captures it. The brothers are thrilled with their luck. Today is truly a windfall. More than 10 fish and a duck that walked right up to them. Team 1. Brooke. After yesterday's storm, they plan to collect mussels at the beach for today's breakfast. Although the shelter built by Brooke's wife is great, they joined the competition to win and get the prize money. They need a better location to build a cabin. Winning with just a tent is impossible. A sturdy cabin would also protect against the winter's cold winds and rain. The couple divides the work. Dave digs for the cabin foundation, and Brooke collects wood. This project is physically demanding. They must be mindful of their energy. Team 7. Peter. Since it often rains on Vancouver Island, temperatures are very high. Today, they plan to collect pine branches to help with fire. They make cuts in pine trees, and soon a thick sap flows out. They collect it, return to camp, and burn it. Finally, they cover it with a layer of loosened pine. This setup allows them to live without stress, even on rainy days. Day 17. 3 teams remain. Team 5. Ted and Jim. Today, the brothers plan to build a boat and head to deeper waters. They believe their previous lack of success in crabbing was due to the shallow waters near the shore. However, the boat Ted built previously is too small. Maximizing space will be their main task today. The boat is still wrapped with a rainproof cloth. They name the boat Hope. Today, they try launching it. Will this small boat withstand 2 tall men? Fortunately, the boat performs well. They are thrilled. After testing, the boat is a bit cramped but otherwise perfect. Day 2. Jim heads out to fish in deeper waters while Ted searches for food along the coast. However, luck is not on their side today. After several hours of fishing in deep waters, Jim catches nothing. Together, they weigh 410 kilograms and need a substantial amount of food daily. Without stable food sources, they could be forced to quit due to hunger. In the afternoon, the brothers set up fishing traps near the rocks where they previously fished. They tie stones at the end of the line, hooks in the middle, and bait them. Each line holds 6 to 7 hooks. These traps only need to be checked the next day. Unfortunately, Ted throws a stone too slowly and a hook pierces his index finger. They hope it doesn't get infected, as that could end their competition. Team 1. Dave and Brooke. Due to his wife's fatigue over the past few days, Dave goes fishing alone today, while Brooke rests and starts building a cabin. Brooke is lucky and catches a big fish right away, securing dinner for tonight. After Dave finishes inserting the outer wall sticks, Brooke fills the gaps between the sticks with moss. This simple action is crucial for keeping out rain and wind, preserving indoor heat, and preventing rainwater from entering. The cabin's main door and stove are directly aligned, and only the roof remains to be completed. The couple has exhausted themselves building this cabin, but they hope to move in soon. Tonight, they will move into the new home, dismantle their old shelter, and reuse all materials, including the rainproof cloth for the roof. Inside, they build 2 small beds with storage underneath. It's hard to believe they are the first to build and move into a cabin in this competition, creating a safe and cozy space. Team 7. Peter and Sam. They start their day with the usual task of fishing, but their usual spot yields no fish all morning. Peter decides to find a new fishing spot, and they cross a stream to an unexplored island. They must keep an eye on the tide while fishing there. If the water rises, they need to return immediately or risk spending the night on the island. Fortunately, the island is rich in resources, and Peter catches a fish, causing some anxiety for Sam, who has yet to catch any fish since the competition started. As time passes, Peter continues to catch fish, but Sam catches none. They give up for the day as the tide begins to rise. Day 27. Only 3 teams left. Team 5. Jim and Ted today. Jim plans to place the crab traps in deeper waters, as they have had no catches in the past few days. They've modified the traps and are trying again. The buoy they're using is an old fire extinguisher found on the shore. So far, the traps haven't caught any crabs, but they hope this time will bring better luck. After a night, Jim returns to the coast, eager to retrieve the traps, needing food to boost their morale. Recently, they've been surviving on seaweed, but neither brother has mentioned quitting, reflecting their family's ethos of embracing challenges and not giving up. However, they overestimated the buoyancy of the old fire extinguisher, which filled with water overnight and sank with the rope. Disheartened, Jim becomes despondent as the trap cannot be recovered. Without food, the brothers grow irritable and prone to arguing. Ted has been particularly upset. As the older brother, Jim tries to control his mood and encourage Ted not to be disheartened. Normally, Jim handles the fishing, while Ted collects shellfish and crabs from the shore. Despite their efforts, Jim has not caught any fish, while Ted, moving rocks on the shore, expends a lot of energy daily. 10 days later, Jim still catches no fish, while Ted collects food from the coast. One evening, Ted finds a large patch of mussels and calls Jim to help, but Jim thinks it's a mistake to expend their energy collecting small shellfish. Upset by his brother's dismissive attitude, Ted confronts him about the effort he alone has put into gathering their food. An argument ensues. Team 1. Brooke and Dave. Having moved into their cabin half a month ago, the structure provides them with a sense of security. To pass the rainy days, they've made a chessboard. In the wilderness, keeping busy is crucial to avoid idle thoughts. They are determined to win this competition. Today, Dave goes fishing while Brooke sleeps at home. Suddenly, she hears the sound of collapsing wood and discovers that a stick over the fireplace has caught fire. Fortunately, she was not fishing with Dave. Otherwise, they might have returned to a burnt-down cabin. After extinguishing the fire, Brooke joins Dave in fishing. They are lucky to catch 3 fish quickly, but considering the caloric needs, each person requires 2 to 3 fish per day to maintain their physical functions. They still need more food. Team 7. Peter and his son Sam today, they plan to make a ladder for safer access to their freshwater collection point, which involves climbing over a large tree stump, a slip-prone and potentially injurious task. After a month, they've become relatively stable, but their biggest concern is getting injured and being forced to leave the competition. After completing the ladder, they head to the coast to fish. Sam, having never caught a fish during the competition, is determined to break this unlucky streak. However, as he fishes, he ends up catching a crab instead. No wonder he hasn't had any luck with fishing. But at least he has a crab today. The father and son return to their shelter for dinner, dreaming of buying a fishing boat if they win and going deep-sea fishing and crabbing every day. Dreaming is pleasant. Day 40 arrives. 3 teams remain. Ted from Team 5 is as usual on the beach, moving stones in search of food. Under the stones, he finds cap shells, and if lucky, small fish. Recently, the brothers often argue, harshly hoping their words motivate each other to find more food. Both are determined not to quit the competition. As the weather turns colder, they check their fishing nets and find a rotten fish. It seems the net hasn't been checked in a while. Having not eaten proper meat in half a month, Jim still decides to take the fish back to camp. At night, they repeatedly flip the fish over the fire, hoping to kill all bacteria. They must cherish their food for the sake of victory. Unfortunately, the next day, Ted starts having stomach pains. He has always had a weak stomach, and eating too much seaweed also makes him nauseous. Now, eating the rotten fish worsens his condition. All work falls to Jim as they hope Ted recovers soon. Days pass, but Ted's stomach pain does not improve, resembling a burst gallbladder or appendicitis. Yet, he remains strong, preferring to curl up in pain at the shelter rather than give up. He tries to help by chopping wood, even though he is weak and doesn't want to leave all the work to his brother. Brooke from Team 1, due to her very low initial body weight and unstable food sources in the wilderness, is now just skin and bones. If this continues, the program might force her out due to health reasons. Today, Dave decides to make a crab trap to increase their chances of getting food. The trap isn't very big, but is sturdy. They use 2 fish heads as bait and place it in their usual fishing spot. The next morning, they go to the coast to check the trap. Pulling up the rope feels heavy, but unfortunately there are no crabs, just lots of sea snails. They are not picky eaters. Anything edible will not be wasted. Back at camp, they roast a sea snail directly on the fire. However, sea snail meat is very limited. 70% of a large sea snail consists of inedible parts like internal organs, which cannot sustain their physical needs. In the afternoon, the couple decides to go fishing since, given their current physical condition, they can't do much else. Brooke's weight has now dropped by 35%, a terrifying fact. With her small initial weight and not enough fat to endure, she could face many health issues, and in severe cases, even permanent physical decline. For his wife's safety, Dave chooses to withdraw from the competition. Only those who have endured such hardships know how difficult it is to survive in the wilderness. While he might have a higher body weight to last longer, his wife faces life-threatening risks. The couple has continuously struggled with hunger, and though they ultimately failed, they did so with honor. Brooke, a woman with a small initial weight, persisted until day 49 before exiting the competition. Both she and her husband did well. The log cabin they built will leave a lasting impression on the show. They were the first couple to be eliminated as the 7th team. Sam and his father, Peter, feeling the change in weather and seeing snow on the mountaintops, needed to cut pine branches today to lay in their shelter and cover any gaps. Peter, always taking on all the work by himself, perhaps did not want his son to suffer. While Sam was touched by his father's efforts, he was also worried about his 61-year-old father's health, who no longer was in his prime. Under starvation, excessive work could require a long recovery time, or even cause fainting due to anemia, leading to their possible withdrawal from the competition. Due to the cold weather, their fishing efforts had been fruitless for some time. Today, despite spending the afternoon at the river mouth, they caught nothing. Hunger was gradually overtaking the father and son duo. By day 50, only 2 teams remained. Jim and Ted, 2 brothers, were the members of the 5th team. Ted, having recovered from a week of stomach pain, was ready to start searching for food again. He knew his brother had sacrificed a lot during his illness and was now eager to share the workload. Luckily, they found many small fish under a large rock. Peter and Sam, the 7th team, fell into a routine of chopping wood, boiling water, cooking, fishing, and sleeping, making time pass quickly. By day 65, they had already spent Halloween, Thanksgiving, and now Christmas in the wilderness. Sam imagined if they were at home, they'd be enjoying the company of relatives, drinking hot coffee and eating cookies and cheesecake. Meanwhile, Jim and Ted recorded a Christmas greeting for their family on camera. It's a day for family reunions, yet the brothers were still in the wilderness, striving for their dream. By day 70, 2 teams remained. Ted's weight had dropped by a quarter, now weighing only about 61 kilograms. Initially, the 2 tall brothers started the competition with a combined weight of about 183 kilograms, and now they weighed around 135 kilograms together. Collecting firewood now required both of their efforts. It was hard to imagine how weak they had become. Team 7's member, Peter, had bad news today. In the morning, Peter started feeling nauseous as stomach acid constantly irritated his throat. Sam immediately got up to gather fresh water, hoping to neutralize the acid in his father's esophagus and alleviate his discomfort. This condition was due to long-term lack of food, causing the stomach acid to reflux into the esophagus, which could lead to severe damage and even esophageal cancer. Peter was in great discomfort. He wanted his son to win and tried his best to help Sam win the prize money, but his body was nearly at its limit. Peter was concerned that continuing in the competition could result in permanent health damage, which was unacceptable. Yet, he also wondered if any other team could still be enduring to this extreme. At this moment, both teams wanted to win, and it became a test of endurance. Whoever could last would win the $500,000. On day 74, a speedboat appeared on the sea, signaling that one team had chosen to withdraw. The camera focused on Peter and his son, who had decided to exit the competition as they were on the verge of dehydration and needed to conclude their participation. Although conceding was regrettable, they had given their all. Sam was unwilling to let his father take further risks, fearing that he would never forgive himself if his father suffered any illness due to the contest. After all, his father was 61 years old, and having him join the competition was already a great honor for Sam. He had learned a lot from his father, who gracefully admitted defeat due to age, unable to keep up with his younger, stronger son. The father and son had tried their hardest, enduring for 74 days. Although they did not win, the time spent together was the greatest gift for Peter. On day 75, only one team remained, the fifth team, with member Jim still moving dry wood. Today, they were informed that the crew would come for a regular medical checkup, their only comfort being the warmth from the fire they could offer. Unaware that they were the last team standing, this kind of checkup had happened many times before. As they were being interviewed, their wives quietly approached them from behind. With a greeting, their victory was announced. They had succeeded. The hardships and disputes along the way had finally paid off, solidifying their brotherly bond. Of course, the substantial prize money would help pave a smoother path for their future lives. It was hard to believe that these two tall brothers had lasted until the end. Congratulations to the brothers on their victory. Here is the Arctic Circle. 10 contestants will embark on a survival challenge here. The last remaining contestant will win $500,000. Day 1 arrives. 10 contestants remain. The first contestant, Barry, 49, takes the stage. He surveys the surrounding area, noting many small groves. The helicopter's landing spot offers a clear view. He easily observes the terrain around him. Barry, a self-defense instructor, has undergone extensive formal training and wilderness survival skills. His physical condition is very strong. Traditionally, winners are often overweight, but Barry has not only ample fat, but also robust muscles. While observing the terrain, Barry needs to be careful of cliff crevices. Snow begins in the Arctic Circle as early as August, covering everything with a blanket of white. These cliffs mixed with trees can easily cause injuries. Reaching a flat area and starting a fire, Barry notices many squirrels in the surrounding trees. He decides to set up traps. Rope traps are the most common and easiest to arrange. When animals pass, they trigger the rope, which tightens when they move due to panic. After setting up, Barry spots a squirrel in a nearby treetop, an easy target for his bow and arrow. He shoots and secures his first protein source of the competition. The innards can also serve as bait for fishing, a great start. The focus shifts to contestant number 2, Nikki, 44. She is collecting berries. Her first challenge in the wilderness is handling the camera equipment, which weighs 65 pounds. She needs to carry it to a suitable location to build a shelter. Nikki, an outdoor guide and commercial fisherman, is well versed in primitive survival. She believes she doesn't need to define herself by her gender. Nikki and her friends have survived in the wild near Vancouver for a year and a half, legally hunting 2 black bears and a mountain lion using traps. Her ability to include such formidable animals in her hunting range is unquestionable. Encountering spicy strips near her home is just a routine for her. Now, surviving in the Arctic Circle, she considers the extreme weather to be the biggest challenge. Once it starts snowing, it will be hard to find food. She needs to collect as much food as possible early on. While gathering mushrooms, she hears a nearby rustle and comes face to face with a bobcat. She's thrilled, inadvertently licking her lips. Unfortunately, the Canadian bobcat is an endangered species. The good news is, the presence of bobcats indicates abundant food nearby. Contestant number 3, Nathan, 39 years old, attempted to shoot a squirrel in a tree with his bow and arrow. Not only did he miss the squirrel, but his arrow got stuck in a tree branch. To retrieve his equipment, he had to start chopping the tree, which quickly used up some of his energy. He decided not to build his shelter in this location. Nathan's job is a designer, but he also works as a farmer, biologist, and carpenter, making him a jack of all trades. He joined the competition, aiming for the prize money. He doesn't own a farm, he rents one, and he is determined to buy his own by giving his all in this competition. Contestants were allowed only 10 items, and Nathan did not bring a fire starter, confident in his fire-making skills. However, after hours, he failed to start a fire, which seemed overly confident and could potentially lead to his elimination. This is the Arctic Circle. Without fire, he had to build a temporary shelter. At night, a moose wandered past his shelter, caught on camera, making the next day tense for Nathan. He needed to get a fire going to keep wild animals away. Fortunately, he eventually succeeded in starting a fire, providing some comfort. Nathan also made a fishing net, anchored with sticks. When he checked it in the afternoon, he found a catch, a rainbow trout, which can grow up to 90 kilo and 1.2 meters long. Nathan was the first contestant to gather such an amount of food. Contestant number 4, Tim, 55 years old, gained a significant amount of weight for the competition, now weighing 204 pounds. He knew that all technical skilled contestants had previously lost, while those with more fat had won. Tim's profession is a hunting instructor, and hunting is his skill. He boldly built his shelter directly on an animal trail, ready to shoot any passing animal. After setting up, he explored the area hoping to find traces of prey. While walking near water, he slipped on moss and fell backward, dislocating his knee. The intense pain nearly made him faint. He urgently called the rescue team, who quickly arrived. Clearly, Tim lost his eligibility to continue in the competition. He had prepared extensively and even gained weight for the show, but now it was all in vain. His dislocated knee and fracture required immediate medical treatment. In the wilderness, it's not just hunger and loneliness that can eliminate you, but also such unforeseen accidents. Tim was thus eliminated from the competition. On day 6, 9 contestants remain. Contestant number 5, Downey, 38, has completed his shelter. Although simple, it provides protection from wind and rain. Today, he plans to use moss to fill the gaps in all the walls, which, despite being a large task, will greatly enhance insulation. Downey is a veteran and currently runs a wilderness survival school. He isn't short of money and has strong survival skills. His main reason for joining the show is that he was diagnosed with severe heart disease this year. Wanting to live without regrets, he ventured into the Arctic Circle to demonstrate his lifelong skills rather than waiting to die in a hospital. In the wilderness, food is both crucial and challenging to obtain. Today, Downey plans to make a throwing stick, a solid piece of wood strong enough to break a deer's leg. Later, with his hunting bow, he heads near the water, and by some bushes, he spots something unusual, a muskrat's den with the muskrat lingering at the entrance. He quickly shoots an arrow and successfully captures it. Muskrat meat is significantly more substantial than ordinary rats, and larger types can grow to the size of a bamboo rat. Tonight, he enjoys the roasted meat, which is rich in protein, and saves the organs as bait. However, the good times don't last. At night, he starts to suffer from stomach pain and fever, showing signs of food poisoning. Despite carefully inspecting the organs and thoroughly cooking the meat, he spends the night with severe symptoms. By the next morning, Downey is still nauseous, even with an empty stomach. Suffering from both fever and the effects of his heart condition, he feels close to giving up. The situation in the Arctic is unimaginable for an adult to endure such discomfort. On the second day, with no improvement, he has no choice but to call for rescue and needs to go to the hospital for a stomach wash. Regrettably, despite his survival skills and determination to leave no regrets, Downey is eliminated due to food poisoning. Contestant number 6, Jordan, 35, is the leanest among all participants. Upon arriving, he immediately set up many traps, not wanting to be eliminated due to a lack of food or poor physical condition. Jordan grew up on a farm and lived with Siberian reindeer herders for 5 years. The terrain and weather there are very similar to the current competition setting, part of which is actually in the Arctic Circle. His background will aid him in this contest. However, his starting point is disadvantageous. With only a small patch of forest in sight, and the rest scarred by a large fire, likely causing fewer land animals in his area. Contestant number 2, Nikki, has a better start, able to pick many berries daily. To balance her diet, she plans to make a mousetrap today. While crafting a V-shaped stick, she accidentally cuts her hand with a dagger. Despite the continuous bleeding, she disinfects the wound using medical alcohol and does not consider quitting the competition. She now avoids delicate tasks to prevent infection, but remains active, chopping down trees with one hand and staying optimistic about her injury. Contestant number 7, Ray, 43, found a beach spot favored by seagulls today, indicating richer fish presence. Curious about nature since his teens and having started bow hunting at 14, Ray has a unique understanding of nature. Declaring his aim to win upon joining, his friends and family describe him as a natural-born wild man. At the seagull spot, he tries fishing and soon catches a small lake trout, which can grow up to 1.2 meters. He welcomes any catch, big or small. Contestant number 8, Michelle, 31, is one of the female participants. She lacks strong hunting skills and has not eaten decent food since the competition began. Michelle, from rural Canada, has enjoyed setting traps and fishing since childhood. Today, while exploring the beach, she found a valuable item, a complete oil drum. This could be used as a small boat or a fishing cage. In the wilderness, it could be of great help. Ultimately, she decided to use the barrel as a trap to avoid the risk of falling into the water in the Arctic. She added several balancing stakes to the barrel and tied hooks and bait to them. The barrel was then pushed into the sea and could be pulled back periodically with a rope to check the catch. By day 9 of the competition, 8 contestants remain. Contestant number 6, Jordan, 35, made a significant gain this morning as his traps have been particularly successful, catching 4 rabbits just this morning. However, like many foreigners, he does not use the hot water method for removing fur and simply skins the rabbits, leaving only the bare muscles, taking away the precious fat and fur, which he feels is a waste. Contestant number 9, Wonia, 42, has spent the first week building a shelter and stuffing every gap with branches to make it airtight. A veteran, Wonia is also knowledgeable about various plants. Contestant number 3, Nathan, returned to the beach today to check his fishing nets, enjoying another day of abundant catch. The big fish, especially the red-spotted silver carp, were noticeably large underwater. Fortunately, he caught a female fish, which also provided a lot of fish roe. This is considered a delicacy, and Nathan couldn't resist consuming 2 big spoonfuls. The fish roe will also serve as ready-made fishing bait, although it's uncertain if fish would eat roe from their species. However, his habit of eating raw foods ultimately caused him trouble. Just last season, a contestant was eliminated due to food poisoning. After consuming the fish roe, Nathan suffered severe stomach pain, as if he had acute gastroenteritis. Unable to even handle the fish, he thought to rest in hopes the roe would digest on its own. Sadly, he couldn't bear it and had to step outside his shelter, vomiting as if he had acute gastroenteritis. Regrettably, there is no cure for regret. If given the chance, he would not choose to swallow the roe raw again. He suspects that the salmon had been dead too long in the net, causing the roe to harbor bacteria. Contestant 1, Barry today. Barry planned to go hunting and had his equipment fully prepared. However, shortly after stepping outside, he found discarded cans on the ground. This discovery quickly changed his plan. After collecting 6 cans, he returned to his shelter to make traps, forgetting his original intention of hunting. Contestant 10, Brady. As the last contestant to appear this season, Brady has completed his shelter. Today, he plans to collect berries on the top of the hill. Brady is a survival expert and a former Air Force veteran. His skills are comprehensive. A devoted husband, Brady's wife was diagnosed with severe rheumatoid arthritis right after they got married, spending most of her time in a wheelchair for the past 8 years. Brady joined the show clearly for the prize money to provide better medical care for his wife and ensure that their children do not worry about money in the future. While exploring the hills, Brady found a large pile of musk ox bones with some flesh still attached to the vertebrae. He decided not to waste this meat. Instead of eating it himself, he collected it to use as fishing bait. Deeper inside, he found the skull of the musk ox, a natural decorative item. Bringing it back to his shelter would certainly add a touch of class. Upon returning, the The first thing he did was to try fishing with the collected meat. The stronger the smell of the rotten meat, the more the fish liked it. He successfully caught a large red-spotted silver carp, fortunately a male, otherwise he might have considered trying some fresh fish roe. Contestant 7. Ray today. Ray was wandering near his shelter and found pine trees, but had no bow and arrow. He returned to his shelter to make a trap, which is especially suited for capturing small rodents. He only needed to set it up under a tree and add bait. If prey touched the bait, it would immediately tighten. In the afternoon, Ray went out with his hunting bow to check the traps. Before he reached them, he spotted a squirrel, drew his bow, and successfully hunted it. After bringing the squirrel home, he ate it, hoping that no other squirrels had been caught in his traps, otherwise he might have a difficult night. Contestant 8. Michelle. Today, Michelle went to the coast to retrieve the oil drum traps she had set up. It was a tough task to pull them in, and unfortunately, they were empty. However, Michelle did not feel discouraged. Having grown up in the countryside, she has always enjoyed setting traps. Back at her shelter, her lasso trap did not disappoint her. It caught a ptarmigan. The amount of protein in such a large ptarmigan was immense, making it hard to imagine how one could finish it alone. On the 14th day of the competition, with 8 contestants remaining, Michelle decided to rebuild her fireplace for safety after a night of thinking. Her new fireplace was 3 times larger, which significantly reduced the risk of fire reaching the wooden stakes. Contestant 6. Jordan. This morning, Jordan found many moose tracks near his shelter. He is wary of such large animals. A moose can cause serious injuries if it attacks at night. To educate you on the size of a moose, Jordan planned to make an alarm system next to his shelter, using a string tied to discarded cans. If a moose approached his shelter at night again, the cans would make noise and alert him. It's important to emphasize that Jordan's reluctance to hunt moose at night stemmed from safety concerns, not a lack of desire. In the afternoon, he heard his alarm system and followed the sound, only to find the moose had already crossed the river. With only a bow and arrow, he did not dare to chase. Returning to camp, he planned to block the paths the moose often used, forcing it to approach near his position, thus increasing his hunting opportunities. While he was setting up, the same moose reappeared in the distance, a frustratingly elusive prey. Contestant 2, Nikki today. Nikki made some mouse traps, hoping to catch squirrels as well. In the afternoon, she went to check her traps and found a mouse, which had turned into little more than a morsel. There were many mice near her shelter, but they were all very small and hardly filling. She needed to hunt larger game. During her hunt today, she spotted a squirrel. Her first arrow missed, but the squirrel climbed a nearby tree, giving her a better shot. She drew her bow and the squirrel fell dead. While she was happily carrying the squirrel home, an accident occurred. The arrowhead was facing downward and it stabbed into her leg as she was returning to her shelter, causing a deep wound. Despite her strong will and never considering quitting the competition, from today, she would have to walk with a limp. Contestant 7. Ray. This morning, a squirrel appeared outside Ray's shelter, but he mishandled his pillow and let it escape, missing out on an easy catch. With snow starting to fall occasionally, the Arctic Circle is bracing for the cold challenges of winter. Today, Ray plans to insulate his shelter by covering it entirely with moss to block the cold winds seeping through the gaps in the branches. Arctic winter temperatures can drop to 60 degrees Celsius, with the coldest area in Siberia, Verkhoyansk, recording a chilling 70 degrees. It's hard to imagine the harsh cold weather contestants will face. To survive the winter, a warm shelter alone is not enough. Ray has not eaten for several days. As the temperatures drop, fish migrate to deeper waters. By day 19, 5 more days without food, he had no choice but to quit the competition. Ray's only envisioned methods of obtaining food were fishing and hunting, but with no food supply, his weakened body could barely walk without gasping for breath, leaving him no strength to hunt. To avoid dying of starvation in the wilderness, he reluctantly gave up, despite feeling ashamed. At the beginning of the contest, Ray was overly confident, not taking other contestants seriously, believing he was destined to win. However, his abilities did not match his bravado, leading to his elimination due to hunger. Contestant 9, Wanya today. While hunting, Wanya found many wild berries and collected some. Nearby, she also found naturally shed moose antlers, indicating that the area was rich in game. Sure enough, she spotted prey in a nearby tree, shot an arrow, and found only blood and feathers on the arrow when retrieving it, indicating the arrow had pierced through the animal. She could only search the vicinity, knowing the severely wounded animal couldn't have gone far. About 10 minutes later, Juanilla found her prey, a ptarmigan. She was particularly satisfied with today's catch. Back at her shelter, she plucked the fat, rich ptarmigan, a much better meal compared to the usual mice and squirrels. The ptarmigan's skin contained important fats, crucial for survival in the wild, and its bones were few, with meat making up 70% of its body. Day 20 of the competition. 7 contestants remain. Contestant 6, Jordan today. Jordan shot an arrow at a moose that appeared and successfully hit it. He followed the blood trail left by the moose. Here's a fact. If the blood from a wounded animal has bubbles, it likely indicates a lung injury. After tracking for about 10 minutes, Jordan found the moose again, now too weak to continue moving. However, he cautiously waited instead of approaching immediately, as the dying thrash of a wild animal can be dangerous. Jordan waited for 3 hours without making any move as the moose lay bleeding, leading to it becoming unconscious. Suddenly, the moose noticed him, tried to get up to flee but collapsed again due to the severity of its injuries. The arrow had pierced its lung. Jordan secured the first large game of the season, becoming the first contestant to successfully hunt in this wilderness survival documentary series. The moose weighed between 850 to 900 kilograms, a size difficult to imagine being taken down with just one arrow. Now, Jordan faced a bigger challenge: how to quickly butcher the large animal. If processed too slowly, the meat could become infected with bacteria or even rot. Additionally, the scent could attract predators like mountain lions, wolves, and black bears, all of which have a keen sense of smell. After an all-night effort, Jordan managed to transport all the meat by early morning. Since his shelter was full, he had to hang the remaining meat in nearby trees and even built a platform to use as a storage area. In the wild, no meat-eating animal can resist the allure of moose meat. Even in the cold Arctic Circle, if not preserved, the meat would start to rot by the 6th day. Jordan now needs to process the meat further while guarding it against wild animals that might try to steal it. Contestant 10, Brady. His campsite is now covered in heavy snow. He has no stored food. The moose antlers hanging above the shelter were merely an old skeleton he found in the wilderness. Winter is rapidly approaching. He needs to try fishing more before the snow seals off the coastline. Luckily, today, fortune smiled on him. Shortly after dropping the bait, he caught a fish, a red-spotted frogfish weighing about 7.5 kilo. This fish is highly valued in the wild for its substantial fat content, crucial for wilderness survival. This single fish can satisfy Brady's dietary needs for a week. Contestant 3, Nikki, tough as nails, has almost fully recovered from a leg wound. She finds it humorous now. Coming to the wilderness, she accidentally stabbed her leg with a knife and then with an arrow. Today, while checking traps near her shelter, Nikki, still cautious because of her recent leg injury, set up several snares. Her resilience and methodical approach paid off when she successfully caught a rabbit. The successful trap made her feel her efforts were worthwhile and gave her a great sense of achievement. Contestant 8. A thin layer of snow outside her shelter made the scenery breathtakingly beautiful. Following rabbit tracks, she discovered one caught in her trap, which thrilled her immensely. Waking up to find a rabbit was a joyous moment. Michelle, who had previously raised rabbits, knows their habits well. After processing the rabbit, she crafted its fur into a long rope, which she plans to use as a scarf once it dries, a beautiful and luxurious accessory. Contestant 6, Jordan. It's been 3 days since Jordan bagged a moose. Every breakfast now starts with succulent venison skewers. Even without seasoning, they look incredibly appetizing. It's hard to imagine that the competition is only 23 days in. If the other contestants knew about Jordan's relatively comfortable life, it's uncertain how they would react. Jordan has smoked most of the meat, confident that as long as no predators such as black bears or mountain lions intervene, he can win this wilderness survival challenge. Day 27 of the competition, 7 contestants remain. Nikki, ever cheerful, maintains her signature smile despite half her shelter burning down. She remains optimistic, a trait that endears her to many. Even with such setbacks, Nikki doesn't plan to quit. She spent the day chopping wood and rebuilding her shelter, an effort that drained much of her energy and resilience. With all these adversities, she truly deserves to be ranked first, a stark contrast to previous contestants who might have quit under similar circumstances. Player 1, Barry, recently checked the traps near the shelter and found a wild rabbit. This rabbit will provide him with energy for 3 to 4 days, allowing him to do more without hunger. The rabbit's kidneys are rich in precious fats, crucial in the wild. At night, an uninvited guest, sounding like a black bear, visited his camp. Despite his hunger, Barry was not afraid and set traps the next morning to lure the bear back. He plans to shoot the bear directly. For Barry, after a month in the wild, any edible animal is fair game. Player 6, Jordan, has had the most stable food supply. He set up fishing nets at the start, and they never disappoint, bringing in large fish every few days. Today, he caught a white salmon weighing about 16 pounds and smoked the meat to preserve it, a vital technique without modern preservation methods. With plenty of food, Jordan feels confident of winning. Player 10, Brady, found an abandoned frying pan on the beach this morning, a prized item for cooking in the wild. However, on day 31, he realized he had missed his daughter's birthday. He knew he was in a competition, but forgetting his daughter's birthday made him feel terrible. Even though he has some stored food, time has become his enemy as loneliness and disorientation grow stronger, unresolved by mere sustenance. In the wild, with no smartphones or TV, the loneliness intensifies. Unable to fill his time, Brady struggles with his thoughts. One day passes, and Brady, feeling confused and disoriented, decides he needs to return to his family. Fearing a breakdown or depression, and having lost his initial motivation, Brady is eliminated on day 36, leaving 6 contestants. Player 6, Jordan, has been struggling with daily deer meat skewers, causing a toothache. He even made a tooth-grinding stick, noting that too much meat can cause problems. Today, Jordan also encountered some trouble. Wolf tracks appeared near his shelter, a sign of the cunning animal attracted by his moose meat. At night, the wolf returned, and Jordan heard it, confirming his suspicions. He went outside, making noise, but chose not to use his bow and arrow, fearing the wolf might retaliate if provoked. Wolves are strong, with 10 centimeters long claws, and confronting one at night is unwise. In the morning, Jordan checked the platform where he stored his moose meat and, as expected, found some stolen, including the fatty kidneys. This theft angered Jordan, as those were his last fat reserves. Though he wouldn't have reacted strongly if only some meat were taken, since 900 pounds of moose meat is too much to consume alone. The wolf had now made it onto his elimination list. Jordan set up many warning devices, similar to how he canned the moose. If the wolf comes near again and triggers the ropes, the cans will make noise. Tonight, Jordan planned to deal with the troublesome wolf. Not sleeping, he waited for his prey. Soon, the sound of cans alerted him, and he took up his bow and arrow to confront the enemy. After a successful arrow shot, Jordan quickly grabbed his axe for close combat. The intense fight sounds indicated that the wolf, already hit by the arrow, was no match for Jordan. The camera zoomed in on the scene, showing the aftermath, which was too graphic to display. By morning, Jordan had dealt with the wolf, separating its skin and preparing another meat storage platform to avoid future thefts. This new platform was built very high, with a ladder for easy access and peeled tree stumps as support pillars to reduce friction and deter climbing animals. Player 8, Michelle, had bad luck. With winter approaching and many animals desperate for food, she aimed to eat more before sleeping. Today, she found fox tracks when checking her traps. Both rabbits were gone, and one was eaten right at the trap, staining the ground with blood. Michelle's anger surged, and if she catches the fox, she is determined to skin it alive. Day 40. This morning, I began with a couple sips of ice-cold water. The surface had frozen over. Today, Barry plans to fish using the lure he made from an old can. The fishing method is straightforward, using a spinner, and surprisingly effective here in the wilderness. On his first cast, he already had a bite, but the fish was too big and escaped, which frustrated him. He hurried back to the shelter to make a net so he could gather more food while the fish were biting. Back at the fishing spot with his new net, it was hard for the fish to escape. He caught a red-spotted salmon weighing about 7 kilograms, enough for 3 to 4 days of energy. Player 2, Nikki, ate rabbit meat caught earlier and extracted marrow from the bones, a rich and fatty food. Outside the shelter today, Nikki spotted a squirrel. After it jumped from a tree, he caught it barehanded and stabbed it with an arrow. However, his careless handling led to the squirrel biting his index finger, causing profuse bleeding. This injury scared him more than previous self-inflicted ones, as he feared the squirrel might be rabid. Day 43. 6 contestants remain. Player 1, Barry, received a notice about a full medical checkup scheduled for the next day from the show organizers. This led him to wonder if he had already won, as past seasons announced the winner during such checkups, with family members present. Thinking about potentially seeing his wife, Barry lost his focus and missed 2 shots at a squirrel, mumbling about returning home tomorrow. Despite not catching any game, he remained hopeful. The night passed quickly, and the show crew arrived on time in the morning to check Barry's health indices and then left, deeply disappointing him. He fantasized about seeing his wife, but no one appeared, shattering his hopeful nature and causing his mental state to deteriorate. Despite performing well, he did not achieve the outcome he desired, having been alone in the wilderness for 44 days, a loneliness hard to describe with words. Player 2, Nikki, remained emotionally stable. She planned to sharpen her dagger today, but her saliva froze on it quickly. Concerned about the medical checkup potentially leading to her elimination due to health issues, she made sure to check her traps. Since her last squirrel bite incident, her luck has been good, with the traps yielding a rabbit every other day. Today, she caught another rabbit. Player 6, Jordan, has the most food among all contestants this season, but still struggles with weight loss. To date, he has lost 30 kilograms. Despite having plenty of lean moose and wolf meat, only fat can maintain weight in the wilderness. Unfortunately, the fat from the moose was consumed by wolves and wolverines. This proves that eating lean meat can indeed lead to weight loss. Jordan decided to take proactive steps because continuing to eat lean meat would lead to further weight loss. He targeted lake trout, a fish rich in fat, found in the Arctic with up to 34% fat content and can grow up to 1.2 meters. Even normal fish typically have a lot of fatty tissue in the belly. Jordan crafted a lure rod with impressive skill. The fish hook was a homemade iron piece, and his reeling technique simulated the movement of live prey. The fish bit the professionally made gear, but unfortunately, it escaped at the last moment. It was a big fish, and Jordan was very frustrated. He never thought having moose meat would still require him to worry about losing weight. He has been diligently eating moose meat 3 times a day, but his body continues to lose weight. He does not want to be disqualified for health reasons after investing so much effort, especially since he does not have a high baseline weight and cannot endure like other contestants. Jordan now desperately needs fat and fatty meat. On day 46, player 3, Nathan, styled his hair today, and it looked good. However, Nathan's luck has been very bad recently. His fishing net has not caught any fish for a week. Today's check at the seaside yielded nothing, suggesting the fish have moved to deeper waters due to colder weather. His stored food is almost gone, and without a catch, he might have to consider leaving the competition. Player 9, Vonya, decided to make an unprecedented rabbit fur scarf in the competition. To date, the rabbit fur she has collected is about the size of a basketball. The exact number of rabbits she has caught is unknown, but the fur feels luxurious. The scarf she made is both beautiful and practical, a remarkable feat of crafting a warm item in the wilderness. Player 8, Michelle, has not seen any rabbits or even squirrels near her shelter for over a week since her trap attracted a fox. The fox's visit has depleted her area of food. Today, while searching for food outside, Michelle was so weak that she fell and almost fell into the nearby seawater. She hurried back to her shelter. This week, she has had nothing substantial to eat besides water. The recent hardships have reminded her of her unhappy childhood. Her mother passed away from cancer when she was 7, and she never had a proper childhood, enduring bullying and ridicule. However, compared to these, going hungry now doesn't seem too bad. A more serious problem is that Michelle has not had a bowel movement for 14 days. She is aware that waste is accumulating in her colon because whenever she lies down, it presses against the last ligament in her buttocks. Michelle was injured as a child, and only this last ligament remains in her buttocks. She wants to hold on, but if she can't bear it, she might have to quit the competition. If this last ligament is severed by her feces, she will lose her ability to conceive for life. Michelle can no longer have children herself. It's fair to say she has pushed herself to the limit. Her determination is recognized by everyone, but 2 more days have passed, reaching day 48, and she still cannot have a bowel movement. Her stomach is increasingly bloated and painful. For her own health and future fertility, Michelle had to choose to leave the competition. Making this decision was very painful for her. Her initial purpose for coming here has not changed, but her body has reached its limit. Being unable to have a bowel movement for 16 consecutive days is a terrifying thing, unimaginable just hearing about it. She has given her all for the championship. Player 8, Michelle, is regretfully eliminated on day 48, leaving 5 contestants. Player 6, Jordan, made a special appearance today. He crafted all the rabbit fur he had collected into a coat, which is quite distinctive. Jordan's current challenge is to gather enough fat. Today, he also prepared to split the moose head he had previously collected and stew all the fatty parts. Although Jordan has a lot of meat, it's not about being stingy. His baseline weight is too low. Even eating meat at every meal, his weight continues to drop by 1 pound daily. To stabilize his weight, he must pursue fat. If he is eliminated due to health reasons after hunting moose and wolves, he will never forgive himself. As long as he maintains his weight, he can compete to the end. On the second day, Jordan returned to the meat storage platform. He was surprised to find teeth marks there. It was the work of wolves again. Wolves have curved claws that help them climb tree stumps without bark. Jordan, once more irritated by the wolves, had previously eaten a wolverine that had annoyed him. First, he scraped off all the bark and set up snare traps on every stump. He also wrapped ropes around the 4 load-bearing pillars twice. If a wolf touches it again, the cans tied up will make noise, alerting Jordan, who will then come to hunt down the thief. Player 2, Nikki, is collecting dry grass today due to the increasingly cold weather. It will be used for insulation in her shoes and as bedding. However, Nikki's ultimate goal is not just insulation. She has collected a lot of dry grass to make a doll using the fur of a rabbit she had eaten, which is well preserved. To have someone to talk to, this straw-filled rabbit will become her pet. Player 9, Vanya, dismantled her ground bedding this morning to make a standard bed. The cold weather made sleeping on the ground too chilly. When she went out to check her traps today, a white rabbit passed by her, even pausing nearby without much fear. However, due to Vanya's poor archery skills, she couldn't hit the target despite the close distance and had to rely on her traps. Fortunately, there are many rabbits in her area, and she managed to trap a snow hare. The rabbits here are all snow hares, which naturally turn white in winter to camouflage against predators. As Vanya continued after retrieving 1 rabbit, she also caught another snow hare with another lasso trap. She was lucky today, catching 2 rabbits. If her archery had been better, she could have had 3. On day 51, player 1, Barry, collected a lot of caribou moss today. He will boil the moss 4 times and then eat it. It's hard to imagine that he used to wipe his bottom with it when he first arrived on the island, and now he has resorted to eating it. Caribou moss is rich in 94% carbohydrates, something city dwellers might enjoy since they often seek out carbohydrates. This is the most natural form, but the only regret is that it is tasteless. Today, the production team went to each contestant for a medical checkup. The first to be checked was Nikki. Nikki's weight has decreased by 25% since the competition started. The team informed her that her baseline weight was already low, and she no longer has extra fat to burn in the wild. Due to health reasons, the team needed Nikki to exit the competition, which caused her great dissatisfaction. She felt that the only difference was her reduced weight, but the doctor informed her that continuing in the wild with nutritional deficits could lead to permanent organ damage. Her body has no energy reserves left. Each additional day causes permanent harm. The production team can forcibly eliminate contestants with blood pressure, heart rate, or BMI below average. Nikki had no choice. She felt helpless and resigned, failing to win the championship as expected due to medical elimination. Despite lasting 52 days, she knew she could do more. But the production team's decision was final, leaving her with regret. It's sad to see Nikki's struggles. She endured much, including cuts, arrow injuries, a shelter fire, and squirrel bites. Despite her efforts, she didn't achieve a good result. Player 6, Jordan, thought he had faced harsh weather, but underestimated the Arctic. The competition site and fishing spots have frozen solid, requiring greater risk for fishing. Player 9, Vanya, finds her usual freshwater source frozen, demanding significant effort to break the ice daily. Her strategy to face the cold is setting more traps to increase her chances of catching game, despite knowing that extreme weather limits animal movement. Recently, due to scarce game, she has started consuming rabbit intestines, originally intended as fishing bait. Player 3, Nathan, has retrieved his fishing nets as the sea has completely frozen, eliminating any potential catch. Having relied on net fishing, the loss of this food source frightens him, as hunger will soon affect his body. Player 1, Barry, finds even his shelter icing up despite recent fires, with temperatures around -20 degrees Celsius. This extreme climate poses a great challenge. Jordan's beard has frozen, and needing fat, he risks fishing by letting nets drift under the ice, hoping to catch fish. He chose parachute cord to make fishing nets. To set the nets on the ice, Jordan made a pair of skis. With all gear ready, only the final practice remained. He deliberately tied the skis with ropes to increase the contact area, reducing the risk of breaking the ice. Arriving at a deep water spot, Jordan broke a large hole with an axe. After checking the length of the net, he broke another hole ahead, allowing him to lay the net with a stick so it could unfold underwater. To prevent the holes from refreezing, Jordan collected a lot of snow. The snow, being cold but airy, greatly reduced heat transfer, effectively insulating the ice holes from refreezing. After several days of effort, Jordan hoped for good luck and a sense of achievement if he caught something. 2 days later, Jordan returned to the sea to check his nets and was fortunate to find a lake trout. By day 69, Nia's trap started to work, catching a squirrel, and she found another nearby. The widespread trap setup proved effective. While checking her traps, she found a third squirrel, delighting her. She wondered if it was divine intervention since she had been eating intestines. Today's catch meant she could survive longer. Today marks the 4th comprehensive medical examination of the season. Due to the frozen lake, the production team could only arrive by helicopter. Barry was to be examined first. Shockingly, Barry had lost 80 pounds so far, startling the staff. It seemed he had little food intake since the sea froze, leading the production team to inform Barry that he must leave the competition due to health reasons. Barry has lost his mind. His mental state is breaking down. After enduring for 2.5 months, he is being eliminated due to his weight loss. He feels that all his efforts were not worth it, and that this is unfair. He wants to continue competing, but the production team clearly explained that once the body stops burning fat, it starts consuming muscle, heart, and kidneys. Damage to these organs can be permanent and often isn't detected until it's too late. On day 70, Barry was sadly eliminated, leaving 3 competitors. Contestant number 6, Jordan, had a small visitor at his shelter, a weasel. He had seen it many times, often taking away leftover bones and moose meat. Today, he found his meat storage platform in disarray. He forgot to remove the ladder, giving wolves an opportunity. This basic mistake led to wolves raiding all his fat stores, including the fat from recently caught fish. This severe oversight was a devastating blow to Jordan. Contestant number 9, Vanya, discovered fish under the ice where she stood in deep water. She tried to make an ice hole to fish, but lacked the strength to do so effectively. From afternoon until evening, Vanya could not open the ice hole. It was heartbreaking to see food so close yet out of reach due to her weakness. By day 72, contestant number 3, Nathan, had lost so much weight that his thermal underwear would no longer stay up without a belt tightened with 6 new holes. He has lost 26% of his body weight since the start of the competition. Nathan's night turned disastrous when the flames he used for warmth spread to the roof. By the time he noticed, the fire was beyond a small flicker. Too weak to extinguish it, he could only watch as his shelter was consumed by fire. The intense blaze destroyed not only his roof, but also his hopes in the competition. Nathan had no choice but to call for rescue. His shelter was completely destroyed. If not for the crew's timely arrival, he might have frozen to death waiting for the flames to die down. With just a temporary shelter by the fire, he waited until rescue arrived at 4:51 a.m. By then, the fire was small, and survival was his only concern, not winning. The rescue team arrived just as dawn broke, providing a dignified end to his shelter's existence, protecting its owner until the end. Nathan left the competition on day 73 with regrets. The helicopter returned not for a routine check, but because contestant Vanya, number 9, chose to quit. She admitted her body had reached its limits. Even getting up in the morning was a struggle. She knew what quitting meant after over 70 days of effort, but her body was completely depleted. Staying in the competition could mean never waking up again. Moreover, It was her birthday, and her final rational decision was to prioritize her safety, the best gift she could give herself. Returning to a modern life with a hug from her family, a delicious dinner, and a warm bed were the birthday gifts she chose for herself. Living comfortably in the present was her priority. Her departure declared contestant number 6, Jordan, the season's champion. By day 77, the avid hunter of the season, Jordan, had bagged a moose and even a wolf. His fishing net also brought in a very large fish today. It's clear that Jordan was handling this challenge with ease, facing no significant stress. Since hunting the moose, his only goal was to maintain his weight by consuming fat. While preparing the delicious fish in his shelter, the crew arrived nearby. Jordan thought it was just a routine checkup and hurriedly ate more to increase his weight before the weigh-in. During the interview, Jordan's wife appeared on camera. Even as he boasted about the abundance of meat he had and his ability to endure any challenge to the end, he turned around to find his wife there. They embraced, overwhelmed with joy. It was at this moment that Jordan realized he was the last contestant standing. He proudly shared his achievements with his wife, boasting about hunting a moose and a wolf, which helped him survive until the end. Congratulations to Jordan for winning this season's Wilderness Survival Championship.